Hey guys, how's it going? This here's Tracilyn. I'm also known as VCat. And I'm here in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, just off of 8th Street, 8th and Chestnut. Just before, it's actually in between Chestnut Street and the railroad tracks, for anybody who's familiar with Lebanon, Pennsylvania. It used to be called the Lebanon Junior High School. Now I think it's called the Lebanon Middle School. So during my time in the 80s, heading towards the 90s, it was 7th and 8th grade. Now it may be 6th, 7th, and 8th, but I'm not sure about that. Just gonna share some brush up stories as I go through here. I'm gonna have like a Super Bowl moment at the junior high school. In the back here is the football field. And of course the bike rack. A lot of times, because during the time that I was going to school here, I lived over in Lebanon Village, I would ride my bike and of course chain it up at the bike rack. However, much like me being bullied around, I learned really quickly that it wasn't always wise to ride my bike here, whether I locked it up or not, because people would usually want to meet me out here at the bike rack to start up trouble. So again, the same thing that happened, I'm not going to keep repeating the same stories, but similar to what was going on in elementary school was going on here. As soon as I knew it was time to get out of school or it was getting closer, I watched that clock, whether it was a bell or however they dismissed us. I was one of the first ones out the door to the bike rack on my bike, and I would race down through the side of the wall here and take the alleyways to get home as quickly as possible. Yeah, it sounds kind of repetitive, but I mean, this was my life. So I didn't start taking the school bus until I was in high school. So they start to change a little bit then as I'm getting older. Not having as many problems, but I'm still having problems. Somewhere along this wall here was my science class. If I'm not mistaken, it was on this side. It was one of my favorite classes to attend. I'm not sure as far as to homerooms. I don't really remember it too much. But I do remember within the science class, if it was my homeroom class, because sometimes, can I just say, in junior high school, when you had your homeroom class, you may return back to it because your homeroom teacher actually taught a class. I'm not sure. I don't remember too much about what was happening inside. My head wasn't there. I'm not paying attention. I'm skipping a lot of school. But I do remember in the science class at some point, I was sitting behind a cheerleader. And for all you guys out there who attended school with cheerleaders, a lot of times when they have their outfits on, at least in this situation, they kind of like to flirt with the people behind them. So I just remember myself, I was fantasizing about the 2 or 3 cheerleaders that were sharing my science class with me. And I really wanted to wear their cheerleading outfits and be the one flirting with all the other guys. So obviously I couldn't do that, and I stayed silent about it because I didn't want any more trouble. I always wanted to wear one of those cheerleading outfits. Later on in life, you'll find out I started wearing schoolgirl outfits and stuff, and that's why. But I remember the one girl, I know her name and everything. It was just like yesterday. She would be sitting in front of me. We had bar stools and long tables that we all kind of sat at. And she would be on her bar stool, kind of hoovering over. Sorry about that. It's very noisy in this area, I'm realizing. A lot of cars. So with that being said, the tables are in front of her. She's kind of bending over, kind of just showing a little bit, like I just did with you with my hiney. Whether it was teasing, flirting, if it was her natural body language, I'm not putting out a bad word for anyone. It appeared to me that she enjoyed the attention. So my main thing is I was not so much attracted to her as I was desiring to have that cheerleading outfit and be the one doing that. But this is kind of the front area. I might be able to reflect back at a later time as far to some of the situations that happened. Hold on, we got some people out front. Here at this school, usually I went around back, like I said, to the bike rack. Very seldom did I ever come out front here. If there was ever a time that I did, I do remember there used to be a lot of fights over here at a church. Okay. Right across from the center of where I'm standing right now. And believe it or not, this is the first time I was introduced to girl fights. There was a lot of girl fights going on here. I don't know why. The kids did not stand on the school property when they would smoke, but usually in the morning, you would see them kind of gathered around over there by the, can you see the church? Let me show you the church a while. See that? A lot of times they would be hanging out over there in groups. Usually the girls kind of stuck together, the guys did, or the people doing drugs and stuff, they would kind of stick together. People with long hair that didn't do drugs still stuck together. Musicians, a lot of musicianship going on here. This is the front of the school. And like I said, very rarely did anybody actually smoke on the property. I don't know how they enforced it, but the kids that attended this school, they would usually wait out there. I remember, or wait out along the block, you know, in the alleyways and stuff like that. Over there at the church was a big thing. And that's why all the fights usually took out over there after school. I guess that was their reasoning, you know, meet me out at the church after school, we'll get into a fight. Not myself, I didn't really get into a whole lot of them here. I got picked on, pushed into my locker room, or into the lockers, of course, because in the hallways there's a lot of lockers, okay? And that's where you just put your belongings when you first got here, and you kept your books overnight, kind of thing. Now, a lot of, I think there's only 2 floors, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 2 or 3 floors. Met my first friend here that played guitar. He probably won't like me saying this, but since I'm not using his name, and most people might not remember, they called him a greaseball. He was a greaseball with long hair, but let me tell you something, over the years, his guitar playing ability just manifested into unbelievable talents. Now, I was always kind of jealous of how he picked it up, because I kind of remember sharing with him some of the things that I picked up until that point. He was a huge Kiss fan. He loved Kiss tremendously. So I had a new friend starting in the junior high that we could share musical talents with. And let me tell you something, a lot of our classes, for some reason, were combined together. So we might go through like the first half of the day, class to class, walking together. So I felt a little safer. I was starting to have a few friends that attended other elementary schools. But here, remember I was saying, a lot of people from the other elementary schools, everybody starts kind of funneling into here and into Lebanon High School. I do remember in the back here, up top of that second floor, there was a wood class there. Let me just tell you something. I learned right there and then, I am not good with wood at all. I don't know if it was my 7th grade or my 8th grade year, but we had to make things like magazine racks and stuff. And can I just tell you that none of my projects turned out, except for maybe that one, and it was shorter than it was supposed to be. So some of my friends helped me put it together so I could take it home, because I wanted to make it for my mother for a gift. And we had to do something in order to get credit for that class. So it was kind of like an extra credit class. As well, let me see. Oh, I think it was the first year. So this might have been more 8th grade. The first year I took home ec. And I learned how to sew, and I learned how to cook a little bit, just a little. I'm not much of a sewer. I'm not too good with cooking. Music was my biggest passion. Oh, I just remember coming here with him, and we always had guitar magazines, whether it was practicing for the musician, practicing for the, what was it? Practicing for, I don't know if it was practicing for the musician or what it was. Guitar for the practicing musician, that's what it was. And Guitar World started being pretty big. The first one was my favorite. Like I said, it's very noisy here, I'm sorry. It's a train tracks I run right along. I'm gonna have to edit out. That was wood shop class. We spent a lot of time looking through those magazines. The teacher was pretty laid back and cool about it, as long as we didn't start in any trouble. This was a major meeting place for us guys. We always would get together throughout our classes. We got divided up. I'll see you in wood shop. See you in wood shop. And there for a while, I guess there was a couple guys that were actually building guitars. So you would see them walking around the hallways, transporting it from their locker room to the wood shop and then back. Sometimes guys would bring in their electric guitars or whatever, and they would work on them here. The teacher was pretty good about that at the time. Don't remember a whole lot, do I? A couple more memories. We gotta wait for this train. Pretty much the same stuff. My head is buried elsewhere. At that time I was escaping my reality. I just wanted music. That's all I wanted. So I would share a lot of time. He was big into sports too, so he was great at football and stuff, and he was big into that, so he could connect with just about anybody. But when we went to lunch together, we sat together. So it was kind of neat because up front in the lunchroom that's here, you would have a lot of people that did do drugs, you know, and partied a lot, kind of sitting in a group. Then you had the athletes and the cheerleaders all sitting together. And then you had us. You know, if you ever saw the movie The Breakfast Club, it's kind of a mixture here. Exactly like that, only with more people at each table. Whenever I saw The Breakfast Club, and it might have been during this time, I always reflected back my school years in junior high. Very diverse group, but much like my neighborhood over in Lebanon Village. See, even at Lebanon Village, that was the time I was going to junior high school. It was happening in my neighborhood, and it was happening at school. You know, people were dividing up amongst themselves. It was just a natural thing for some reason. And sometimes there was intermixing where people would talk to you and stuff from different groups, but usually everybody just kind of stuck in their own little group. Right alongside the school, of course, you got the railroad bed. And down this way, there were many times, not during my school, probably in the summer, I had friends that stayed up in this area. And I would spend a lot of time just walking up and down there collecting different stones. On the far end, closer towards Lebanon Village, there used to be right behind Bethlehem Steel, there used to be some kind of paint company, factory that used to be back there. And it was really cool because however they dumped their paint, it somehow got into the ground, into like little caverns or little basements, cement basements that were left behind. And you used to be able to get big chunks of them. Big chunks, and they were all different colors. I used to collect them and save them. I'd go back there, sometimes with my stepbrother, sometimes by myself, and I'd break these paint chips off. And I was always fascinated with that. And I would collect them like I did back on Union Alley. I collected soda bottles with water in them. Kind of weird, huh? Do some weird things. Now remember I was talking about at some point in junior high it peaked with my fighting. There wasn't a whole lot of that. Most people were pretty aware that things were happening to me elsewhere. So I guess they kind of viewed me more as a sissy, and therefore I was a target for people to pick on me. Thank goodness I got the opportunity to make friends here that we shared common passions with. And because of that, when you're in a group, it's less likely that something's going to happen to you. Okay, I realized that. And I was very grateful for having my friends during that time who didn't judge me. Sometimes we get into fights, but nothing ever really serious. You know, just more like words talking, or we're not going to talk to each other kind of thing. One day after school, remember I told you a lot of people wanted to fight after school. One day after school, I don't know how or why I ended up coming this way. I think to try to elude people. And thinking, because usually I went out the other side. Remember I was saying I went down the other side, ran down that street, then I would run into the alleyways. But one day specifically, I was here. I was probably in 7th grade, from what I remember. I had my long hair and stuff. And there was this really short guy, very short. He was lucky to be as tall as my first girlfriend, 4'11", if you will. And something very similar, which gave me flashbacks. of the lunchroom incident over at Harding Elementary. And basically, he was trying to intimidate me and let me know that he's going to whoop my butt after school lets out. I didn't take it too serious, in all honesty, because the kind of group that he was hanging around, I don't want to go into too much detail of that, but he had different levels and different kinds of personalities that hung out together. And let me just say, in all honesty and fairness, was I wrong for this? For some reason, I didn't feel threatened by that group at all. I had friends within that group, and it just wasn't as intimidating as the football players or, people that hung out that partied all the time. So anyway, one day after school, I go running out and I hear a lot of people. Sorry about that. Once I wrap a few sites up, and I'm sharing this with you, I'm kind of getting interrupted, and that distracts my mind when I'm trying to focus on my art or sharing my story, writing a song, writing a book. I don't know what that problem is, but I have that problem. I did my whole life. So I usually need peaceful environments. Soon I want to be wrapping up on the scene, location kind of things, just so I can start getting right down to it. And I kind of want to get this over with as quickly as possible, believe it or not. Just want to share my life story, get some of the details, kind of wipe it clean for a while, forever. We're talking about this guy. He kind of intimidated me for some reason. Something happened inside the school. When he threatened to beat me up, I kind of laughed about it. It was the group he was kind of hanging around. It was not intimidating to me at all. And pretty much by that time, I'm just sick of it. I did take karate. Okay, so I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to fight, but if this is what's going to happen, let it go. So as the day drew on and things began to happen, my friends started asking me, "What are you going to do after school? What are you going to do after school? This guy's telling everybody he's going to kick your butt." And I was like, "I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Just go home. I'm just going to go home." So eventually, the pressure started coming. I started getting a little shaky. And let me tell you something. I got out the door. I went out the door. I normally wouldn't go out. So I'm kind of lost in my own mind. As you see, I easily get distracted. And once I knew that a posse of his was coming along down the street that I was showing you earlier on 8th Street, I started running around this corner. Right there where that pole is. Okay? And I started running down here. Kind of like a jog, not necessarily running, kind of like a jog. And I was with a friend of mine. And my friend kept telling me, and I don't remember which friend it was, he said, "What are you doing? Stop running, stop running." And I wasn't running, I was kind of like jogging. I just was kind of speed walking, in all honesty. I just wanted to get away from it. I'm tired of fighting kind of thing. And I just want to get home. So anyway, would you know that the whole entire school just about is what it felt like, but I'm sure it was only like probably 25 to 30% of the school came around. This was a big deal. Fights were a big deal at this school. And I never got in one before this situation occurred. I got pushed around, pushed into the locker, picked on a lot. Comments were said. I was picked on in classrooms. People would either throw something at me or say shady comments to me, in front of everyone. It was more of like a humiliation process for me here. So lo and behold, we come down here right by this bank. And I finally get here on this grass, right here. And you know what? I stopped. My friend talked me into stopping. So this little guy comes up to me, and his exact words were, "Don't use any of that karate on me. Let's fight." And I'll tell you what, that's when Karate Kid was either in during that time or long before that. But some reason that stuck in my head. And you know what? I knew that my legs were longer than my arms. All right? And I also knew I didn't have gloves on or anything. I really didn't want to hurt my hands. I'm playing guitar and stuff like that. I'm not a fighter. And can I tell you, he no sooner stepped into me, and instantly, very much like the Karate Kid, except for I did a side kick. Oh, Can you see that? Oh, wow. I can't do it anymore. But I kicked him right in the chest. And much like the first fight over here, well, not the first fight, but much more like the fight I was talking about over at Harding, where I punched that guy and he fell instantly on the ground, the same thing happened here. I kicked him on the chest, and down on the ground he went. End of fight. End of fight. He got back up. I embarrassed him in front of all the people that were here. Because I didn't embarrass him, he embarrassed himself. Okay, how's that? I'm not going to take the blame for embarrassing him. I didn't want to fight. He came too close to me. As soon as I saw him step, I just kicked right away. I knew the length of my legs would be out far due, obviously. Check this out. See? My legs were longer. And I knew that. So I kicked him right in the chest. It was easy for me because he was short. He fell back down on his butt, kind of hit his head. And can I tell you? I reached down. I helped him up. I started to cry. I said, you made me do this. That's all I did was kicked him. But I said, you made me do this. I could see the fear, the look in his eye, the surprise. And I ran home. People didn't get it. You might not get it. Listen to me. Whoever you are. I don't want to fight. I mean, what do I got to do? Do I got to run around with a hot air balloon, maybe? One of those big blimps? Say Goodyear on it. I don't want to fight. I'm not a fighter. That's not what I'm here for. Okay? I'd rather be just totally left alone. That's the way I was feeling here at school. Just leave me alone. You know? It's that easy. Unfortunately, I have to be here because the city says, and the politicians say, and the leaders say, you know, everybody's saying I have to come to this school and get educated. That's my education. My education is you're going to get your ass whooped every day. What do you do? Who do you talk to? You talk to your parents. What if they don't do anything? You talk to your friends. What if they don't do? Your friends are going to tell you, you got to learn to fight. You got to fight back. You got to fight. Don't take it. You go to the policeman. What do you do? You get a lawyer? Do you get a lawyer? You start dating a lawyer, somebody who wants to study law. Is that it? Okay, sue them. Sue them for their future earnings. Is that it? I don't know what the answer is. I'm asking you to leave a comment. Share with me. What's the answer? Let's help. Other people are going to be coming by eventually, maybe. Maybe you only see 2 hits right now, but somebody's going to be coming by eventually, and they're going to be curious too. What is the answer? I don't know what the answer is. Okay? Because, can I be honest? I'm going to try not to get too frustrated about this. It seemed to me like everybody was being an a-hole about it. There's nobody I can talk to about it. Nobody cares. And it's always my fault. Well, you need to fight, Tracilyn. You need to fight. Why do I need to fight? Why do I need to fight? Why can't I just go to school, get an education, and go home to my miserable home life? Is there a problem with that? Obviously, there was a big problem with that, okay? There was a huge problem with it. No kid, for any reason, should have to go through this. Understand, I'm not going to run through every time that I got smacked around, pushed into a locker. Okay? Let's just say that now I'm missing, believe it or not, I'm missing almost 90 days of school, probably 30. 30's reasonable. I always told people between 30 and 90 because it felt that way. Okay? Getting my mom to pay for things she can't afford because the system says, you know what, we ain't gonna make sure your child gets here safely in and out of our school. You know, we got a long stretch. I don't know how long that is to walk back home. That's pretty far. Gotta ride my bike. Is this what I gotta look forward to the rest of my life? Can you imagine what was going through my head? What job am I gonna get when I get a job? Is this how they're gonna treat me? Who's gonna do something about it? I do? But what happens if I do? What happens if I snap? What happens if I snap and I do something about it? Then what's going to happen to me? Let me tell you something. School leaders, you know, whoever's in control of the city, whether it's this city or any city, what do you do about it? What happens when someone who's being bullied over and over and over and over and over and over and over for years, and they reach out, and the best that people can say is fight back. What happens if finally something snaps? Okay, I know that happens. I know that. It's so sad that that happens to children. Then they're the problem. They're the trouble. And then all the cameras are facing on them. Right here's the problem. We're down here. This was a troublemaker. Is that what it is? Because I heard stories like this. I heard of a lot of children taking their lives because of stuff like this. Isn't it amazing I'm still here breathing? Even though all this is behind me, it's still a part of who I am. I had to go through this process. I'm thankful for who I am, but did I have to go through that? What if I gotten a different education? Would have life been much different for me? What about if I wouldn't have not got held back when I first came here? Do you think that had a lot to do with how I felt about myself, maybe? I don't know, I had a rough home life, obviously. All kinds of things. I mean, these things go through. I'm not blaming anyone. Okay, why would I blame anyone for that? Why would I blame not having a safe school to go to? It's my fault. I'll take the blame for that one, okay? It's my fault. I should have been able to provide myself with a safe education. I should have been able to come here every day safe. I should have hired security or something, maybe. Because when I was in different neighborhoods, I did have security. The girls gravitated toward me, invited me into their circle. Okay, they protected me. Even the girls were tougher than me. You know, I will keep saying this in all my videos. I don't want to fight. I'm not here to fight. That's not my purpose in life. It might be yours, and I'm an entertainer. That's what I do best. I sing. And so I hear they want to take music out of school, or did they? You know? I'm into the arts. Is art still in school? I don't know. I don't follow stuff like that. I don't have time to follow stuff like that. Because busy I am out in this world trying to find a way to survive. Okay? Life patterns don't stop in school. And then some people wonder why certain individuals aren't as smart as other people. Well, maybe if they weren't going to school in fear, anxieties, depression, maybe instead their head is in the classroom instead of figuring out a new plan to get out of school safely. Maybe we wouldn't have these problems. Maybe Tracilyn would be as intelligent as everyone else around her. Okay. I don't know the answers. I love everybody. I'm grateful that I had the life that I did, believe it or not. Because there's a lot more good times than there is bad times. But I'll tell you what, this stuff has haunted me. And it's still hard for me to talk about. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Let me tell you something. Any child that is still going to this school and having problems, you know, let's figure it out. What can we do about this? What can we expect out of the teachers, out of the adult supervision that's going on here? You know? What do we expect more out of our parents, out of our cities? How do we educate people and teach them not to go around harassing people? Something happened to me in my life that when I was young growing up, I knew better. I don't go around beating up on people. Did my parents teach me that? What about your parents? Did your parents teach you not to beat up people, or did they teach you to beat people? Okay? Because my mom was almost killed in front of me. Almost killed in front of me, is what I'm saying. She was almost dead. Did that teach me to go around and almost kill people? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We got a train. Check this out. I love trains. I love trains. Let me tell you something about trains here in Lebanon. They seem to run quite often. Sometimes it may seem like it's running every 15 minutes. Sometimes one will go up that way, one will come back down this way. And no matter where I lived in this city, I would hear that train off in a distance, depending where I lived, a little bit louder than others, of course. There'd be many nights that I would sit out on the back porch, the front porch, sometimes scared to get off that porch. Sometimes in the middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, drinking my beer as a teenager, as a kid, listening to that train. Or a train, whatever train it was. Maybe not that one, maybe it was, I don't know. So I hope you guys realize, like, I'm trying to keep my frustration down because I still think about this stuff. It affected me greatly throughout my life. And the thing is for anybody who got the opportunity to hear my other music, if you click on links down below this video, you will find out on my other YouTube page that I've written some pretty deep songs about people who did commit suicide. Okay? How did I stick around? Why? Why did I stick around? Why am I still here? Am I here for a purpose? My mom used to tell me that God had a great plan for me. I've met many pastors in my life. They told me that God has a great plan for you, Tracilyn. Does he? Does he? Does he, up there, have a big plan for my life? This building, I don't know if you can see on the other side of the basketball courts. That, I'm 100% sure, was the hallway where one of my friends, who was actually a good friend, well, actually a son of a very good friend to my mother who worked at a local hotel here when she was a maid, and she became a boss eventually there. I don't know of what, probably maid service or laundry or something. She had a good position. She worked her way up. She worked hard at doing what she did. We became friends here. Had the same homeroom class. This is the place where my friend, evidently, I don't know who got him first, or if we got him together, I can't remember the details right now. But I knew that he had tickets to go see John Mellencamp, Rain on the Scarecrow tour, in Hershey Arena. I always got the arena and stadium confused. Hershey Arena. We were just a couple lockers down, and I remember I really wanted to go to that show. Weakest moments, you know, John Cougar Mellencamp. I want to be one of the dancing girls. Jack and Diane, heard so good. And I already shared that story. I don't want to repeat myself, but check back on a couple videos. I might not have uploaded it yet. But hopefully I'll get the opportunity to do that. This was a school in 7th grade that I started dressing up like John Mellencamp. My hair was styled that way. On my bedroom wall, I had a Rain on the Scarecrow, just like his album. I had a poster of that. You could Google it and see it. I remember I had a book that you could open up. I guess it was a tour book that year. You could open up and page through, and you got to read of some of the bios. I think of some of the musicians that were there. One of my favorite musicians that played with him, of course, because I don't remember the guitar players and stuff like that, but I do remember his drummer. I don't remember his name. And let me just say that in junior high school, that's when I started getting involved with other musicians. I was trying to be John Cougar. Not good, John Mellencamp. Whichever, I'm confused. Which one is it? I was trying to be like this guy on television, okay, on my television, MTV. I did my hair like that. I wore a Western tie. I wanted one so bad. Wore my jean jacket. And that was a big thing during the year that I went here, the 2 years, is everybody wore jean jackets, had long hair and stuff. And I even wanted the shoes. Shoes like I saw in videos that he had. They were kind of like flats, slip-on shoes. And I think I have a pair. Every time I put them on, they're very similar, very similar. I always think of it. I don't know why. I guess, you know, you kind of relate that as a child growing up. You want to be like other people. In that classroom, that homeroom class, I don't know what ignited it. I don't know if somebody else played there that year, or if I'm thinking back in elementary school when somebody played for us, or thinking back on the playground. But I do remember, somehow, somewhere, we had kind of like a show and tell. I'm almost sure. What about you guys? Did anybody see this video remember what we used to do in a one class here in junior high school? Did we do show and tell? Or was that in elementary school? Show and tell. Do you know what show and tell is? It's an opportunity to stand up in front of the class and show something, anything, something that means something to you, and tell them about it. So I'm almost positive that year specifically, I brought in my acoustic guitar. And if I'm not mistaken, I may have talked about my love for the music that John Mellencamp written. And then I showed my guitar. You know, I didn't tell him too much about my look. I guess it was pretty well understood. And from what I remember, but I'm not 100% sure, maybe somebody else knows and they'll say you're a liar, Tracilyn. I don't remember right now. A lot of this stuff is only starting to come to me now that I'm standing here. And I sat down in a chair and I played, but I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel confident at all. But I know I wanted to be like John. I don't want to be like John anymore. In that school. I want to take you around so I can kind of feel and reflect back on the music room. Outside of that, let me just say that I connected with a couple drummers. Remember I was telling you just earlier that over across from Harding when me and my stepbrothers met up with this guy with long hair and, you know, unfortunately I hit him kind of thing. Well, his friend that he was with was a very well-known sports player. Football from what I remember, maybe other sports, basketball. He ended up being my drummer for a while, we had a band together, so he was a drummer in the band I was in. Very talented, extremely talented. The first band that I was ever in started in this school. Not only did I have the opportunity to have him to drum together, or for him to drum in the band I was in, but I even went as far as having tryouts. We had tryouts to try different people out. Can the chemistry work? That was a big thing. Does the chemistry work? You know, the skills we get, if we keep practicing, we'll get better. And there was a phenomenal drummer here, and he played with the junior high school band and stuff. So we had all these different personalities in that band. It was me and my friend, the KISS friend that I was telling you about. He got involved in it. I was playing guitar. He was playing. He had an electric guitar that only had like a few strings on it. He played bass with it. It was like it looked like a Fender. I don't know what it was, but it was kind of an old guitar, and he pretended to play bass with it. You know, he pretended to play bass with it. And let me tell you something. I pretended to play guitar. That's the year my sister, who was in the military, one of the gifts, she used to like getting our family gifts when she would return back to Pennsylvania. You know, whether it was from boot camp or wherever she was going. I think that's where it was from. And that year that I ended up coming here, I don't know if anybody remembers the old SS 3000 guitars, but I got mine from a guitar shop downtown here. I think my sister and me, we went together. I got to pick it out. It was black, gloss black. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look back to be sure. Let me just say it like this. It was other people that I saw on MTV. That's why I wanted this gloss black guitar. I'll leave it there because I'm not 100% sure what inspired if it was a certain guitarist or not. But it reminded me a lot of the guitars that I saw on MTV. So we had the two different drummers, depending on what was going on. The one that was in sports, may I just say that? The one that was involved in sports, we ended up going to his grandma's house. And in the basement is where we used to play all the time. I wanted to do it all the time, 24 hours, 7 days a week. It was very unfortunate for me to be in a band with somebody who was involved in sports. So obviously I brought that up, that anytime we're focused on a whole lot of things, it seems like sometimes, like nothing really gets done. Back in the day, all I wanted to do was get a band together and play. And with him being involved in sports, my other friend, he kind of lived on the other end of town from me. We were kind of divided up. When we got together, a lot of times we'd just be hanging out. But let me just say that when we got together and actually played, we had a lot of fun, pretending. The drummer knew how to drum. The rest of us is trying to find our way. And we did a lot of cover songs. I remember my friend who loved KISS. We wanted to do KISS. Lick It Up, I think, was one of them. I wanted to do Jean Cougar. and a couple other bands, you know. So we had the band player, you know, that was in the junior high school band. So people were divided up in other activities. And we all live at different areas within the city. So it was kind of challenging for us. I remember sitting there. This is where I started daydreaming all the time. When I would go to class, I would always daydream of life being better, being in a band, traveling, doing videos, you know, recording. I mean, this is where I dreamed about everything I ever wanted to do with my life. You know, and it was just an escape. It was an escape. I didn't go here to school to learn anymore. I already knew from my past life. I was just refreshing that I didn't have to worry about it every day unless something new came up, you know. I knew that when I walked down the hallways to kind of to go a different direction. How about that? Were you ever feeling like that? You just know it's time to go a different direction. You don't want to keep walking down the same hallway getting pushed into a locker, especially in front of your friends, you know. So I spent a lot of time with my head down here dreaming, writing things up, you know, my plans to be a rock and roll star. And there was a math teacher that was here. I want to say her name, Miss Corbin. Does anybody remember Miss Corbin? Lebanon Junior High School. Can I tell you that she was one of the most inspirational teachers ever in my whole school history? Do you know why? 2 reasons. 2's a magical number, you know. Do you know why? She was a math teacher. Numbers. For some reason, in a very young age, I was drawn to numbers. I'm not super good at math anymore. I kind of left that slide. A lot of things in life I just let go. She was absolutely beautiful. Everybody within this school, most of the guys, could vouch that she was one of the most attractive teachers in all Lebanon School District. That wasn't the second reason. Because understand, I want to be like these beautiful ladies. Do you know what inspired me to want to know her more? Guess. She played guitar. And she kept an electric guitar in her closet at all times. She was in a band. I never got the opportunity to see her band. I wanted to. So can you imagine that? She's probably in her 20s. I remember it was probably one of the youngest teachers I had from what I remember at that time. So I was telling you about the older ones and stuff like that. But here, junior high school, she's anywhere from 23 to 27 from what I remember. She might have been older, but she didn't look like it, that's for sure. And I remember wanting to stay after class to get to know more about her as a musician. So while everybody took off, if I knew that she didn't have anywhere to really go, depending on, because my math class would bounce around, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. But when I would go there, you can only imagine how my imagination would go. I wanted to be like her. I wanted to be attractive like her. She used to wear skirts, long skirts. And that's the first time I used to really imagine myself wearing a skirt and being in public as a professional. The fact that she kept a guitar in her closet, of course, the people into music, they wanted to see it. And if my one friend who was in the band, I think from what I remember, he got to see it first somehow. And we were passing, we weren't going to class together. I don't think so. Maybe we were, maybe not. From what I remember, somebody was telling me about they saw her guitar, and I really, really wanted to, but I was shy about asking. I don't know if I ever got to see it. I was always hoping she would pull it out. She may have at some point. I'll start to remember, trust me. It'll start to come back to me. But I remember Miss Corbin. She was my favorite teacher ever. And I talked about her for years, and a lot of it was because, number one, she was closer to our age, you know. There was maybe 10, 15 years difference. She's a beautiful lady. Numbers, playing guitar. Always wondered what she was up to. She still was in the area. She's still teaching here. You know that. You know. Do you know? Leave a message. Let me know. Maybe she has a YouTube page with some of her music on there. I'd love to hear it. very, very big inspiration. She's one of the reasons why I actually looked forward to going to school. Other than that, than seeing my friend who was a Kiss fan. Huge Kiss fan. Did you ever have friends like that either liked a band like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, or Kiss? They loved them so much that you didn't really like the band anymore just because they liked them so much. He was that kind of person, like my friend who loves Ozzy. I really love Ozzy too, and I love Kiss, don't get me wrong, but you want to know something about me? I really loved Kiss when they came out without their makeup on. That's when I realized how good looking they were. Because they got makeup on and stuff, you know, and it's, I love it. I love all Kiss. Any Kiss fans out there, please don't get upset. I'm just saying, to me it was kind of scary. I told you I was kind of scared of stuff. Ozzy, Alice Cooper, Kiss, AC/DC, I was scared of these bands. But this is around the time, or within a very short time, by the time I was in high school, Kiss came out without their makeup on. Lick It Up, obviously, So when I got to see Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, I was just blown away by how good looking they are. I was always confused. That was always the talk. If you ever got to see Kiss, would you want to see them with their makeup on or makeup off? I don't know. Maybe a split show. Maybe in the beginning they don't have makeup on, or they do have it on, and then the second half they take it off or do the opposite, I don't know. And I loved Bruce Kulick. Is that how you say his name, Bruce Kulick? At that time, definitely he was in the band and stuff, and Domino was one of my favorite songs of all times once they came out with their makeup off. We used to listen to that a lot in Frog's Hollow, so that might have been later years yet, Heaven's on Fire, that was one of my favorites. It's always amazing. Doesn't it in the video somewhere, isn't his fingers on fire or something like that? Like a candle. Like a candle. I don't know. Weird things that we remember, watching. MTV was a big deal to me. Headbangers Ball. Used to watch it at my friend's house all the time. Like I said, he lived on the other side of town, which is closer to here. Basically, from looking up this road, I would go home that way, right. And his house was the other way. So we didn't, unfortunately, get to go to school together. My friend that I'm telling you about that played guitar, the huge Kiss fan, I'm going to say that a lot, so you can kind of relate without saying names. Excuse me, I burped silently. My friend the Kiss fan, I used to go over and visit him at his parents' house, where he lived. And he was big into sports outside with his neighbors and stuff. But when I come over, we made it all about music. And I'm telling you, for real, in my life, I've never, ever, ever, in the 40 years I've been alive, ever met somebody that was so diehard about one band as he was. I don't know if he still is. Might not be. Maybe. But we used to go over there, and I used to love going in his bedroom. He kind of liked to play, not necessarily air guitar, but because air guitar is kind of like you're pretending you have a guitar. He would use his guitar and kind of pretend like he was playing to his Kiss albums and stuff. And we did crazy stuff at his home. But I wasn't into sports. I was more into music. He was diehard into music at the time. But we never really did a whole lot with it. I'm going to share with you here in a little bit some of the things that we used to do. In this school. I was sharing with you the different stage experiences that I had throughout my life. A big one happens right here for me. Trying to think if anything else went on. With inside here, they used to have football games at night. Let me see if I can bring this back. They used to have football games here at night on the weekends. And I remember driving or riding bike, either or, throughout the years, Driving, riding bike, or what have you. This neighborhood was actually a fun neighborhood to be a part of. A lot of the kids were out playing all kinds of games. Just silly stuff. Walking around smoking cigarettes usually. And I never went in because I was always scared. I never knew who was going to be there. So I kind of stayed out. I stayed out and I hung out with whatever friends. Myself, unfortunately, I smoked or I drank. That was a big thing. Get drunk, go to the game, smoke cigarettes. I was always afraid to go in. I might have went into one game period ever that I lived in Lebanon. And it was all fear. You know, I didn't know who was going to be there that day. I didn't want to get beat up in front of the other people I hung around with, because a lot of times what I started to do is I would divide up my school life and my private life. Do you know what I mean by that? I even started doing it and continued to do it throughout my work years. If I go to school with you, with the exception of like my friend who loved Kiss and a few other minor exceptions, I would hang out with kids from either other school districts or other areas of the neighborhood. And I only had a few friends that I considered very close friends. There was a couple that lived here. You know, girls that I loved to hang around with, for the obvious reasons, you know. This continued out of my school life into my career life. You know, even when you find out when I was a rocker, you know, I was a local entertainer for about 7.5 years. And I tried very hard not to mix my business or my careers or my school life with my private life. Sometimes things just get out of hand and then both lives get messed up, you know? So I just thought that was always healthier. I don't know, how do you feel about that? You think it's better to have friends, maybe have your friends in school, but then have different friends to hang around with at home? You know, or I had a hard time balancing this stuff. Sometimes I had friends that I hung out with here in school. He was one of them, you know? So I would ride my bike across town, go visit him. Sometimes he would come over to my place over there at Lebanon Village. And you want to know something? He was the first one to co-write a song with me. I was talking a little bit about that when I was in Lebanon Village, showing you behind my window. And I started writing a song called Happy. On my other YouTube page, you can see me singing in a diaper, Happy. Well, that song was written years ago, right around 6th or 7th grade. And it was funny because the song is kind of goofy in a way, but that's why. It was like my second song I ever wrote. And I started to write it, and then one day he sat in the bedroom with me. We fiddled around with some stuff, and in all honesty, as time progressed, within a year or two later, I picked it up again, and I just rewrote it for myself, because it was originally my song. We co-wrote it, but I didn't like the co-write. Not because of him, but just because I didn't like it. So... And now, though it may be a cheesy song to some people, it has a heck of a memory for me. I love it. Here's a football play. Here's a field. You like the way I do that? How about if I just do this? Isn't that an amazing stadium? Whoops, I almost tripped. And I know sometimes I talk like this. And it makes me laugh. Okay. But when I calm down and I talk like this, it's a big difference. I guess because I'm outside, sometimes I think people can't hear me. Can you hear me? I hope you can. I'm going to stop this until we get down the school a little bit. As you can see, believe it or not, it was scary for me to walk along this wall, or even to ride my bike. Remember I told you the wall incident that happened? Hey. Remember the wall incident I was telling you about at the elementary school? That guy was hitting me. My head hit the wall a couple times. Can I just tell you that after your head hits the wall, you kind of get a little bit nervous when you get around walls like this. And let's face it, where are you going to run to? I felt like I would be cornered in at any time. Ever since that elementary school incident, I don't feel that way anymore. I'm not worried about walking anywhere, you know. I walked in some pretty big cities. I met a lot of really cool people. And things are much different for me now. Okay? So understand this. I went through this throughout my life. My life has changed dramatically. And you're going to find out. Once I started living life as an adult entertainer and escort, as some of you may know, I started traveling up and down the East Coast, went out west, and I went to all these big cities, and can I tell you something? After everything that I've been through my whole life, I never feared being alone, ever. And can I tell you something? I never had any problems. Not out on the streets. It was in the hotel rooms. Wait till you find out. Wait till you find out some of my stories with that. So, I'm gonna cut it off and then just come up here and share with you one more story, then we're gonna head up to the high school. If I'm tired or I sound drained, just know that I'm really trying to cram a lot in a very short time. I really would love to share more details, but I think there's enough there to just give you a feeler of the kind of life I had as a child growing up, you know, into my 40 years, into the last 40-year journey. You know, I could have summed it up probably in less than 15, 20 minutes, you know, but instead of doing that, I wanted to kind of show you some of the places I've been, and I think after watching some videos on YouTube that it would be more interesting to kind of see some of the landscape and some of the situations that ended up happening, the doors that I ran out of, the places that I clapped erasers, you know. Sometimes I wish I could go inside these schools and show you guys. Oh, okay, I'll be right back. Hey guys, it's me again. You want to know something? I was just trying to figure out, you know, about how old I might have been when I first went to 7th grade here. And I'm thinking it was right around 12 or 13. I was turning 13 that year in October. By this time, I was already dabbling with the guitar. Since I was probably 7 or 8, I think I said. Somewhere in that area. I'm not 100% sure, but understand, I've been trying to touch it. I've been trying to play since I was like 3 or 4, you know? This here, to this day, is one of the most precious moments of my whole entire life. I had to be here to share it with you. I might not be able to show you through the doors. Can you see anything in there? There you go. Just check that out. Just to the right of where I was showing you, if it's still the same, somewhere in this area, okay, somewhere in this area, there is an auditorium. Much different than the one in elementary school. I think it was the 7th grade year when my friends started getting together. Remember, I told you we're trying to work with some Kiss songs. Cinderella was really big at this time. Cinderella was tremendous at this time. Night Songs album. Probably Bon Jovi, of course, with Slippery When Wet. So we're kind of disputing back and forth. What do we want to play? What do we want to play in our band? And all of a sudden, wouldn't you know, the talent show comes up. Talent show. Do you know what a talent show is? A talent show is where, at some point throughout the year, the school gets together, they have auditions for all kinds of talent, whether it's music, I'm thinking, or comedy, dancing, all kinds of things. Whatever your talent is, you go to this auditorium and you audition. I think it was after school. You might have to stop. I'm not sure how it operated. Me, my Kiss friend, and the football player. Was it him? And the jazz player, because we had 2 drummers. But sometimes the one drummer, who was the school band musician, sometimes he would sing. So, but the drummer always drummed. And then we had me and my Kiss friend. Okay, I'm just trying to clear this up a little bit. Me and my Kiss friend, we had the long hair. Okay? The drummers, they had short hair. Very professional looking. That year, we were disputing, what are we going to play for the talent show? What are we going to play for the talent show? And I could be wrong, but can I just tell you one thing outside of Kiss that we had in common, that we all enjoyed? Cinderella. Cinderella night songs. And I'm thinking another one. Is it Save Me? Somebody save me. Somebody save me. I lost my dog, took me out of my tree. Something like that. I can't sing right now. Something like that. It was 2 Cinderella songs that we sang. Might have been Nobody's Fool. Did I say that in the beginning? It might have been Nobody's Fool and another one, Save Me or something like that. We auditioned. We actually made it. Can I tell you, after everything I just shared with you, you know the kind of school life I was living? Can I tell you, at that year, thank goodness for glam bands, because it opened up the door for us, especially doing cover songs, that we could dress in women's clothing in a social environment like school without being picked on about it, because we were in the talent show. I've never been so happy in all my life. That when I reflect back on some of the happiest moments of my school life, this was it. I had that guitar. I told you my sister got me, that SS3000. It was black. I got to wear my mother's satin, if they were, from what I remember, or silk, black tight, I think they were satin pants. I didn't wear her disco shoes though. I forget what else I wore, but you know the name of our band? I was thinking about this for a long time. Black and white. Black and white. And my sister had leg warmers. They go up to your knees, down to your ankles. I had black and white leg warmers on. They were striped. Of course, we had our hair all done up. That year, in the homeroom class that I was telling you about over here, I think it was 7th grade. I think it was. The girls wanted to help us. It may have been on the other side of the building. It may have been on the other side of the building. Understand, this is all kind of distorted to me right now. But I remember this. At some point throughout the day, the girls actually got together and put makeup on us. At least I did, you know, for me and I think my KISS friend. I think it was all of us. I think we all got the opportunity to do it, but I know I did. I know for sure 100% Tracilyn did. And can I tell you, that was one of the happiest moments of my life. I was with the girls. The guys aren't going to put makeup on me. I didn't know how to put makeup on me. I was trying at home. I wasn't doing a good job. The girls in this school, they had no idea at the time. I had no idea that I was transgendered. Okay, and I want to explain more about that. I had no idea. I'm still learning about my sexuality, my gender struggles. Okay? But the one thing is for sure, they dialed me up and I looked amazing. I looked like a rocker. I looked like a rocker. Me. So John Cougar went on hold for a little while that day, and out came the Cinderella twins. It was hilarious. You know, we're kind of like laughing at each other behind the stage, kind of looking. The drummer, who's a sportsman, he's got his makeup on too, from what I remember. And same with the jazz musician. And it's just funny because these two guys, they got short hair. And we're used to seeing, listen, not that guys with short hair can't have makeup on, but I'm telling you, we're used to seeing all the guys on MTV with really long hair, Dee Snider and all these guys from Twisted Sister, all this stuff. So here we are. Me and him are the only ones with long hair. And we got all dressed up, and I was very fortunate. My mom had great clothing. I told her about it. I explained to her, go to the talent show. Knock 'em dead, Tracilyn. Knock 'em dead. And I was extremely nervous that year. Can you imagine what it was like to stand in front of an entire school in women's clothing? Even though it was rock and roll. You know, at that time, that was a big thing. Glam bands, you know, with your hair all done up, the makeup on, knowing that these girls who saw you being bullied pretty much throughout your life and knew about your history being here were very supportive. Let me tell you something. This was the highlight of my entire school life. I'll never forget what it felt like to have the heat of those lights coming up from the stage and onto me. I couldn't see a whole lot that was out there. I mean, this is a nice size auditorium. For the Cinderella songs, from what I remember, I played guitar, but I didn't know how to play it. Let's just face it, me and my friend who was a KISS fan, we didn't really know how to play it. we kind of immolated it, if you will. I don't know, is immolation? Did we immolate it? I don't know. So we do the first 2 Cinderella songs. The one drummer, he's playing, he's singing. Then I had an opportunity too, because I think we did those 2 songs together as a group, and then even during the audition, I told them that I was going to do one of my own songs. And during that audition, from what I remember, there was like a podium. You know, they had some of the teachers there, or whoever was there, judging whether or not it would be acceptable to be in there. I had to print out the lyrics and give them to them. And I think even on the Cinderella songs, if I'm not mistaken, there's something somewhere, I don't remember where or what, or if this is true, something somewhere on one of the lyrics that it was either my song for what I did was Patty's song, or it was one of the other songs that we were doing. They asked if we would alter some of the lyrics. And I remember that was the first time I was introduced to that, change the lyrics to present it to the school. And from what I remember, it was somebody else's songs, and I'm thinking to myself, why would I want to change the lyrics to their songs to sing it? It's on the radio, it's on MTV. I'm not sure. It could have been my song, but there isn't anything that I would think would need it to be changed in that. So anyway, we did what we had to do to get in the talent show. We had to show the school we can do something here, okay? Other than our football. And plus, think about it. I'm up there on the stage. Our drummer is a very popular, in this school, football player. We got a band musician up here too. I mean, there's real talent up here and popularity already. The school loves these people. And here comes my KISS friend and me being bullied around my whole life with this group of people. So can you, I mean, is this soaking in at all? Do you care? I care. I'm telling you, this was the highlight of my life. Okay, guys, I'm back. Got a new battery here. I want to wrap things up and move on to the high school before it gets too dark. Just want to stress to you, understand everything I went through my whole life up to this point. Now I'm 13, probably 13 at this time. I already explained that we had a sports guy that was very popular playing drum, the jazz musician playing with us, or if he was just a band musician, not just, but a band musician for the school. And you got my friend, the KISS fan, and me. We're all done up with our makeup. Tracilyn is fully decked out. Remember I told you Oliver Newton-John? I got those pants on, like in Greece. This is the greatest night of my life, come on, or the greatest day of my life. From what I remember, it's the entire school that's there. This is during the day. We're playing Cinderella, 2 songs. I wish I could remember which ones they were. I don't know if it was Save Me, was the second one, and we did night songs. But if I played you the way we played night songs that day, trust me, it was nothing like it. It was nothing like it. Nothing like it, so much that my brother tried so hard to help me with it. And it's seriously, I couldn't do it. I was not able to play at that time at all. I was one chord. I was a one chord person. Listen to this. So we play in front of the school, and we're trying to reenact the video out. And that's why I keep thinking Save Me, because at some point in that video, if I'm not mistaken, it is the rhythm guitarist, you know, the other guitarist, not the singer, not Tom Kiefer, I forget the other gentleman's name, and then Eric, the bass player, they kind of run into each other from across the stage. We tried to reenact that video on stage, and I'll tell you what, my friend was a lot better than me, but we did it. It was amazing. I was so scared, I was nervous. We reenacted Cinderella to the best of our ability. You know, we were pretending to be Cinderella. Black and White, that was our band. Then after those 2 songs, and why we all picked Cinderella, I don't know how we came to that conclusion, really. I'll be honest. I know they were really big at that time, and we all loved them, so. After that was over, it broke up to a 3-piece. It was me, my KISS friend, and the guy who played sports. From what I remember, I could be wrong. I don't know which one was drumming, but I'm almost certain it was the sports guy, the football player. At that time, remember I told you I was a John Cougar fan, John Mellencamp? Weakest Moments was always one of my favorite songs off American Fool. I wrote a song called Patty's Song, probably a year or so before this, you know, when my sister joined the military. There was no chorus, it was one chord. Occasionally, for anybody who plays guitar, you suspend the 4 every now and then, every so many beats or what have you. Every so many measures. I don't want to get too technical, but it was a 1-chord song. Key of E. My friend, remember I told you, basically he had 1 string on his guitar, but he was using it as a bass. Then we had the drummer. What I wanted them to do is kind of give me a feel like on Weakest Moments. That's what I wanted to feel when I was up there. There's something very powerful throughout my life that I connected with that song, just the way the drum is ding, 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 ksh, ding, 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 ksh, you know, with the tambourine or something like that. And let me tell you, when you're listening to other music, and it's a lot, I don't want to say that, I want to say this the right way, but there's seems to be more power or noise going on around it, even the power ballads. When you hear something as relaxing as that, as a young child, all I can say is that opened up my imagination all the more. And I remember that beat to this day. Because in later years, I actually programmed it in my drum machine and I would use it for Patty's Song. And it sounded good. I could do Weakest Moments or Patty's Song, same tempo, everything. So that's the kind of tempo of Patty's Song that it was. And that's the drum. I had my drummer, not my drummer, our friend who was drumming. I didn't get that right. I'm learning. I'm still learning after all these years. Okay, our friend, the team player, the drummer. He was setting the tempo with that. My friend was playing 1 string. Remember, it's just 1 chord, so that's he could do whatever he felt in his soul to do. The whole mood of the stage was different. We're shaking off of each other. We're bouncing off of each other in front of the school, trying to be Cinderella. And now, Tracilyn, who never felt secure with her singing voice, but has been told her whole life through different sources, okay, that I had the talent. Now I'm standing in front of the whole school in my mom's pants. With makeup on. I'm still blown away. Do you think that was courageous? This is a school. These are the people that they know. Tracilyn has been beat her whole life. Nobody likes Tracilyn. Why? I don't know why. Let me tell you something. I stood in the center of that stage scared. So scared that I could only see my English teacher from this school. Hey, remember English was the worst subject for me? And for some reason, I saw her kind of looking over her glasses and stuff, and I kind of thought she didn't really care for me. I don't know why. Was it my look? Was it my long hair? She trying to figure me out. You trying to figure me out, English teacher? You trying to figure me out? It's me, Tracilyn. I remember that. I couldn't really see anybody else, and I kind of stayed focused. And to this day, when I play and I really get into it, I kind of look to the left. Is that why? When I'm playing my guitar, sometime I'll show you. I stare off to the left, and I really, if I go any other direction, a lot of times I won't feel that I'm as saturated into the song as I do when I look over to the left. Is that why? Maybe my English teacher, maybe I have that vision of her there. That's the way I shied down here. I stood, took the courage to stand there. I had my friends with me. Right, I have my friends with me. Be careful. We got a couple of us together now, but we're taking on the whole school. In my mom's pants. What do you think of that? So here we are in front of the school. We sing that song. Can I tell you that was the biggest life-changing moment that ever happened to me my whole life? Do you know why? Do you know why? Do you know why? Do you know why? Do you know what? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because as scared as I was, and I did it, trust me, I was thinking of my sister the whole time. The song's called Patty's Song. the lady who went into the military. That year, we were the only ones who got a standing ovation. When I was done with that specific song, I can't remember if it started up front and worked its way to the back, but can I tell you, everybody that was there, just about everybody anyway. Some of you might be saying, well, I didn't stand. I would never stand for you, Tracilyn. I would never clap for you. Maybe, but in my mind, from what I saw, everybody was clapping. Everybody stood up. Can you imagine how overwhelming that was to my heart? Instantly I was changed. Remember, I was telling you, over in Lebanon Village, people would ask me to play for them. I don't know if I went into too much detail. My mom would always ask me to play for her. I never felt confident. People would come to my bedroom window to hear me play. This is 6th grade kind of era. I never felt confident. I don't know why. I always lacked confidence within my abilities, whether it be singing or playing guitar. But this year was life-changing for me, and I will never forget. Thank you, Lebanon, for giving me a moment throughout my school life. And let me tell you something, after that, that was it. Okay? I'll never forget it. But after that moment, for 6 days, for the week preceding after it, okay? You remember these things. I was kind of like a superstar hero. I don't know how the other guys got treated, you know? But I had people that were pushing me into my locker, patting me on the back. To one guy even told me, he said, I never knew you had it in you. You're really talented. Don't stop. You know, you'd hear little comments like that. Can you imagine a guy who's pushing you into a locker, telling you that you got talent, never knew you had it in you? This was amazing for me. Short-lived, but long enough, trust me, long enough to know what that felt like, to be appreciated. You know? I felt good about myself for that week. Everywhere I went, I felt so good. I felt like life is just so much better now. Can I say that even after that, it's like people kind of looked up, they remembered back to this day. You know, they stopped patting me on the back and stuff like that. But can I tell you that after that moment, it was kind of life-changing. It was just like, okay, you're the rock star. You're the rock star. You guys are rock stars. Are you guys still playing? They'd ask questions once in a while. They didn't elevate us too much. It was just, you know, are you guys still playing? Are you playing? And let me tell you something. I don't know if it's because of the talent show, if this is before the talent show, like we did practice run or what have you. But we ended up going out Sand Hill Road here in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. There was a big farm, a barn, and there was a haunted house there called Fit of Fear. For anybody that's in Lebanon, you know what I'm talking about, Fit of Fear. And somehow there was a connection through us all that there was a party going on out there. And guess who got to play? Black and White. Yeah, we got to play in a haunted house. And I remember doing a lot of Kiss. Cold Gin was one that I sang. If I didn't sing it, my friend sang it. I played it though. I remember learning that song. I had a guitar teacher for a little while. He helped me to learn it. So I studied a lot of Kiss music during this time because of my friend. It's primarily, you know. Black and White. Why we picked Black and White, I have no idea. We like the colors, I guess. You know, are they colors? Are they colors? Are they considered colors? What are they considered? I don't know. I don't know. We could have been red and blue, purple. I don't know. Pink. Could have been purple and pink. No. Not with a football player in it, right? Maybe if we had some cheerleaders. Red and blue, I think, is the school colors, or it was back then. One more thing, from what I remember, then we gotta get out of here. It's gonna start to get dark. I'll probably be walking up at the high school when it's dark. Can I tell you something? There was a music class in here. And it was arranged a lot differently. There was a lot of chairs, folding chairs, kind of like the auditorium. Amazing music teacher. She may or may not have followed through the elementary school. I forget. But I remember I looked forward going to this class. I looked forward going to music class no matter where I was. I wanted to learn music, as much music as I possibly could. What does a 3/4 mean? What is a quarter of a beat? What is an eighth of a note? All this stuff. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I want to know all this stuff. She was an amazing teacher. I forget which song it was by John Cougar that I had for like we had to get songs together, and then we would kind of write out on the board like I can't even remember what we had to do, but we had to do something in front of the class, and it was just like with timing and everything. And I remember she pulled me after class. She asked me if I'd come over and talk to her. And I'm going to think of the song. I'm going to think of the song. I think it is off the UHHU album. Is there a John Cougar song? Or is there a John Cougar album called Because I'm not sure if it was on that album, but I think there was a song that I brought into this class to share with the class of John Cougar. And for some reason, after that class, she had pulled me aside. She wanted to talk to me. And that was the first time I met a teacher. Remember, I told you, they wanted us to censor out words. Was it by Cinderella or was it one of mine? I think it was by Cinderella, but I don't remember anything bad being in these songs, so I don't know what it was. If Cinderella sees this, I don't have no idea. This was our teacher, and wait, you're gonna laugh at this. But she pulled me in after class to kind of warn me about listening to John Cougar's music, his lyrics. She warned me about that. Remember that. Just remember that. I can't remember what song it was. And I was blown away by this because I am a huge John Mellencamp fan, okay? So understand, I don't know. Listen, I don't know. Don't corner me with this. Listen, stop. What are you doing? Stop it. No wall, please, no wall. No wall. I don't remember what it was about. It was a John Cougar album that I brought in. And she just warned me about the lyrics. And I'm going to try to think about that for a while. That's why I put it on video. But try to think about what it was, what the warning was. I'm sorry, I got snot on my nose. I'm not even picking it. So yes, I remember the situation, but I don't remember exactly what it was about. But maybe if I end up talking to my KISS friend, maybe you might be able to figure it out. But I remember it was after the whole class had left. She wanted to talk to me. And she was trying to steer me away from listening to John Cougar. It wasn't Pink Houses. Was it Crumbling Down? I'll think about it. I'll have to go and listen to some of the songs off that album. I'm sure we can find them on YouTube or an MP3 somewhere download for free. It won't cost me anything, right? Back up, no! I'm just kidding. Me download music for free? Come on now. What do they call that, pirating? I'm a pirate. I'm a pirate and I'm coming to take your music. See my ship? My ship is over there around the corner. I love you guys. I'm going to high school.